All right, guys. So Tucker Carlson, who is somebody that I've said time and time and time again is the best in the business when it comes to mainstream political commentators. Okay, I mean, this guy, in my opinion, there's nobody even close to him right now. Okay, nobody even close. And he shows us once again why in this interview that he does with Ted Cruz, in which he basically sons Ted Cruz, pressing him on why the hell did you go and call the January 6th protest slash riot, whatever you want to call it. Why'd you call it a terror attack? Okay, why did you call it a terror attack? Basically playing into the Democrats' hands, right? As Ted Cruz is facing a whole lot of heat right now for those comments. Now, here's the thing, before I want to get into this, there's people that like to say stuff like, well, why are we criticizing our own, right? Why are we going after Ted Cruz when we should be going after Democrats? Well, my answer to that is that if you can't self-reflect and correct people that say and do stupid stuff on your side of the aisle, that's how you lose elections, okay? And Ted Cruz, if he keeps making these silly mistakes that he shouldn't be making, because we all know he's better than that, he's on a way to losing, right, his seat. Okay, he barely beat Beto in a state like Texas that is red, but there's a whole lot of people from California, New York, these liberal states that are moving to Texas, okay? And there's reason to believe that, again, his seat could be up for grabs, okay? It is possible for a Democrat to actually win his seat. So with that being said, he can't keep running out here doing these stupid things, right? Going to Cancun in the middle of an ice storm in Texas, okay? And now coming out here saying this. He has to be corrected on this, or else he's going to end up losing his seat, right? So you have to correct people like Ted Cruz on this stuff because he's smarter than this. As Tucker Carlson is going to acknowledge in this interview, that I think was a masterclass in regards to how journalists should hold politicians accountable, okay? So I want to react to this because I think that this is absolutely beautiful. So let's go ahead and get into it.
We played this tape for you last time. We were surprised by it. We prefaced it by saying every conservative appreciates Ted Cruz because he's one of the smartest and most articulate people in the Congress, and he's conservative. But he referred publicly to what happened on January 6th as, quote, a violent terror attack. Here it is.
We are approaching a solemn anniversary this week, and it is an anniversary of a violent terrorist attack on the Capitol, where we saw the men and women of law enforcement demonstrate incredible courage, incredible bravery, risk their lives to defend the men and women who serve in this Capitol.
Senator Cruz was game enough to come on tonight. We appreciate that. He joins us now. Senator, thanks so much for coming on. So I guess there are a lot of dumb people in the Congress. You're not one of them. I think you're smarter than I am. And you never use words carelessly. And yet you called this a terror attack when by no definition was it a terror attack. That's a lie. You told that lie on purpose, and I'm wondering why you did.
Well, Tucker, thank you for having me on. When you aired your episode last night, I sent you a text shortly thereafter and said, listen, I'd like to go on because the way I phrased things yesterday, it was sloppy and it was frankly dumb. And
I don't buy that. Whoa. I don't buy that. Look, I've known you a long time, since before you went to the Senate. You were a Supreme Court contender. You take words as seriously as any man who's ever served in the Senate. And every word, you repeated that phrase. I do not believe that you used that accidentally.
So Tucker here is basically sunning Ted Cruz, right? In the sense that he's telling Ted Cruz, he's like, bro, you're a politician, bro. Like, you said that for a reason. Nothing that comes out of your mouth is a mistake or miscalculated. Everything that you do is calculated. And he's 100% right about that. Because I try to tell you guys, whether you're looking at the left or the right, all these politicians are actors. They're all calculated in the things they do. They're calculated in the things they say. Right. And I think that's one of the reasons why people like Trump so much is because he's not as calculated. Right. He seems more real in regards to the things that he's saying. He's not a stand up, dressed up politician. But that's not Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is a politician. Tucker Carlson is saying, like, bro, you're a politician. You shouldn't be making silly mistakes like this. And he's 100% right.
I just don't.
So, Tucker, as a result of my sloppy phrasing, it's caused a lot of people to misunderstand what I meant. Let me tell you what I meant to say. What I was referring to are the limited number of people who engaged in violent attacks against police officers. Now, I think you and I both agree that if you assault a police officer, you should go to jail. That's who I was talking about. And the reason the phrasing was sloppy is I have talked dozens, if not hundreds of times. I've drawn a distinction. I wasn't saying that the thousands of peaceful protesters supporting Donald Trump are somehow terrorists. I wasn't saying the millions of patriots across the country supporting President Trump are terrorists. And that's what a lot of people have misunderstood that comment.
Wait a second.
So here's the thing, right? Ted is, again, trying to weasel his way out of this. Let's be real. He's trying to weasel his way out of this. Because what he's saying is that, well, you know, I was referring to the people that attacked the police officers. And we all know that if you attack police officers, you know, that's wrong. Everybody can agree on that. Yes, that is true, Ted. I think most people do agree. The people who are actually being violent that day, yeah, I mean, I think people are fine with condemning violence, okay? I think people are fine with that. I think the problem is that you weren't that specific in your phrasing on Capitol Hill, right? In your phrasing, you basically said what happened that day in general, including all the peaceful people, right, was a terrorist attack. That's what it sounded like. Right? So it's not an excuse because you purposely used the phrase, it is a terrorist attack. You use that on purpose. Okay? Because otherwise, all you had to say is that the people that attacked the police officer on that day should be condemned. Right? That's all you had to say. There will be no controversy. I don't think there'll be any controversy about that. Right? But that's not what you said. Right? That's not what you said. It's not even close to what you said.
Second, but even your way, but hold on, what you just said doesn't make sense. So if somebody assaults a cop, he should be charged and go to jail. I couldn't agree more. We've said that for years. But that person's still not a terrorist. How many people have been charged with terrorism on January 6th? Like, why'd you use that word? You're playing into the other side's characterization that, as Joe Kent just explained, allows them to define an entire population as foreign combatants. And you know that.
Yeah, and this is a very important point from Tucker. And the reason why is because we've seen what happened with the FBI guys, right? The FBI parents protesting at school boards or whatever, right? Speaking out at school boards. They've labeled them as terrorists. The left, these Democrats, they're literally trying to label white Christian conservatives, I'm just being real, as terrorists in this country. That's what they're trying to do, right? And they basically smeared everybody that went to the Capitol that day as that, right? As terrorists, okay? So Ted Cruz using that phrase, it's a big mistake because he's essentially confirming everything that the left is saying in regards to their efforts to smear a whole group of people in this country as potential terrorists, right? This is why this is such a big deal, right? This is why Tucker bought Ted Cruz on the show to be like, listen, bro, I gotta spank you, right? I gotta spank you. Okay, I gotta get you back in line. Because we're in an era where this is what they're actively trying to do, right? So there's no room for Ted Cruz to make a mistake like this at all.
So why'd you do it?
So Tucker, let me answer you directly. The reason I use that word, for a decade, I have referred to people who violently assault police officers as terrorists. I've done so over and over and over again. If you look at all the assaults we've seen across the country, I've called that terrorism over and over again. That being said, Tucker, I agree with you. It was a mistake to say that yesterday, and the reason is what you just said, which is we've now had a year of Democrats in the media twisting words and trying to say that all of us are terrorists, trying to say you're a terrorist, I'm a terrorist. And so, look,
and you played right into that when you went out there and called those people terrorists, call everybody there terrorists. Right? You played into that, okay? This is why Tucker's like, bro, you're smarter than this, dog. Like, you know what's going on. Why are you doing this? Why are you saying this? Okay? Ted Cruz is literally telling you, oh, yeah, I know what the Democrats are trying to do. And I just played into it. Right? Bruh, oh, my God.
I don't like people who assault cops. And I stand up and defend cops. And the reason I use that word is that's the word I've always used for people that violently attack cops. But in this context, I get why people were angry. And by the way, remember what was happening during those protests?
Can I just ask, hold on, you work in the, I guess I just don't believe you. And I mean that with respect, because I have such respect for your acuity and your precision. And I've seen it on display. I've covered you as a reporter. I know how you speak. And
what Tucker is basically saying here, without actually saying it, he's like, bro, you're a politician, okay? I know how good of a politician you are. That's what he's basically saying right now. And politicians, by nature, are wordsmiths, right? They're wordsmiths. They're finessers. They know how to play games with language, right? They know how to play games with language. Otherwise, it would be hard to win elections. It'd be hard to get people to vote for you if you couldn't do that. That is one of the required skills of being a politician. Being able to play games with words, okay? Being able to finesse, right? And Ted Cruz, his finesse game was not on point, right? When it came to what he was saying. When he failed to distinguish between those who were being violent and the non-violent people, and essentially sounding like he's smearing everybody as terrorists. His wordsmith game, right, his finesse game is also not on point in his interview with Tucker Carlson, right, which is why Tucker Carlson is able to spank him so badly, because he's like, Ted, you supposed to be able to finesse with the words, man. You supposed to be a wordsmith, right, and you're just bad at this right now, okay? You're bad at it. Right? That's what Tucker is basically saying. You're smarter than this. You're better than this.
You have sat there for a year and watched people use language to distort the events of that day. Intentionally. Insurrection. Coup.
And of course it
terrorism.
Wasn't an insurrection. Saying it's an insurrection is a political term. It's a lie. I've repeatedly denounced it. And when it comes to, look, I was focusing on what I normally say. That what you aired was a little 15-second snippet. What I normally say is violence is wrong, peaceful protest is right. If you engage in violence, you should be prosecuted. If you're speaking, you have a right to speak. I say that all the time.
Well, I meant, and I agree.
In that snippet.
So who's Ray Epps, by the way, since you are a senator? Like, he and this other guy are clearly encouraging the crowd to commit crimes. Neither one has been arrested or charged. What is that, do you think?
So I think that is a very good question. I don't know who Ray Epps is. I've seen that video multiple times. It's disturbing. Right? He's clearly urging the crowd to violate the law. When you see the crowd start chanting, Fed, 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 for him to appear on the FBI's most wanted list and come off, it certainly suggests he was working for the FBI. That's not conclusive, but that's the obvious implication. And the Attorney General and the Department of Justice won't answer the question. Tucker, I can tell you, I joined with a number of other senators trying to get the Biden DOJ to answer the question why so many January 6 prisoners are in solitary confinement, why they're being treated so much worse than the Antifa rioters and the people who committed firebombing and a year of riots across the country. And this.
So my question, Ted, is that should have been what you said, right? My main criticism of the GOP when it comes to January 6 stuff, they let the Democrats control the narrative on this stuff. Honestly, they should have said, yeah, what happened on January 6 was bad, right? We condemned the violence. But we got to talk about what happened all last year, and we're not going to sign up for any commission. We're not going to do anything until we actually talk about what happened last year. Unless the commission is investigating multiple events when it comes to BLM and Antifa, one event when it comes to what happened at the Capitol that day, unless both of those have been investigated, I'm not having a conversation about this, right? And anytime they talk about January 6th, I literally would just start talking about BLM and Antifa. That's the only thing I'll ever talk about, right? I will only talk about that. Until the Democrats are willing to have a real conversation about stopping political violence in this country, that is what I would just be talking about, right? That is what I would be talking about if I was the Republicans, okay? But that's not what they're doing. A lot of these people are just buying into it and being dragged into this conversation that they can't win on, because the Democrats, their objective when it comes to this whole January 6th stuff, they don't really care about political violence. They're not really trying to stop that. What they're really trying to do is just use it as a tool to smear conservatives, right? It's terrorists, which is what Ted Cruz fell into.
And this Biden DOJ won't go after them. But let me also make a quick point, Tucker. Remember, while thousands of people were standing up to defend this country on January 6th, at that exact moment, I was standing on the Senate floor demanding that we impanel an election commission. And I brought together 11 senators to join me in supporting getting to the bottom of that. So, of course, it would be ridiculous for me to be saying that the people standing up and protesting to follow the law were somehow terrorists. I was talking about people who commit violence against cops, and you and I both agree, if you commit violence against cops, you should go to jail.
Yeah, but you're not a terrorist. You know, you're not. You're a guy who assaulted a cop. Okay, so there's a legal difference, as you well know better than I do, since you were actually in the running for the Supreme Court. And there's a moral difference between a guy,
Tucker, the reason
Yeah, I mean, Tucker's right. I mean, if we can't classify the dude that committed the Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy, if he's not classified as a terrorist, then how can you classify those people as terrorists? Okay? Honestly, God, I don't know what you define as terrorism anymore. I really don't. Because, again, according to Democrats, what happened on January 6th is terrorism, but the Waukesha Christmas Day parade was not terrorism. You know, I don't know what you define as terrorism. I have no clue. And with that being said, it's probably a good idea not to be buying into the Democrat talking points when it comes to that.
I use that word is for a decade. I've used that word for people that violently assault cops. I use that word all in 2020 for the Antifa and BLM terrorists that assaulted cops and firebombed police cars. But I agree, it was a mistake to use the word yesterday.
Right.
Because the Democrats and the corporate media have so politicized it, they're trying to paint everyone as a terrorist, and it's a lie. Exactly. And by the way, I've spoken out vocally against your exchange you just had. They want to paint us as Nazis. Yes,
I know, it's scary.
That is what they're trying to do. And look, I'm the one leading the fight in the Senate against this garbage. And it's what I have been doing, and it's what I'll continue doing.
Well, I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you very much, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. Hey, Sean Hannity.
Boy, Tucker spanked that man, boy. He spanked him, okay? He bent Ted Cruz over himself. Bop, bop, bop. Okay? Fall in line, okay? You can't be making these silly mistakes. Okay, that's what he did. Because Ted Cruz, I mean, I really don't. I just don't get it. I don't understand how a politician, I mean, you have people that write this stuff for you, okay? Why would you go out there and say something like that? And he's fully aware of what is happening, and he still did it anyways. Again, to me, it seems like he probably was trying to get some brownie points with the left, but like I be trying to tell people, bro, that doesn't work. People like Ted Cruz, people on the left are just not going to like him, okay? No matter what he does, no matter what he says. So there's no real reason to try to kowtow to them, okay? Because you weren't going to earn any points on the right for saying that, and you're not going to earn any points on the left for saying that, right? You're going to lose points with your base, and you're not going to gain anything from the Democrats for saying that. So I found that to be fascinating how Tucker Carlson really held his man to the fire in that interview. And honestly, I wish Tucker would do that more often, right, with people that come on his show. It's quite entertaining. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.